I've posted a couple of Filipino recipes in this channel. And if you're going to ask me why I don't have a recipe for lumpia yet, I really don't have an answer for you. But that's about to change right now. Tip number one, and one of the things that is a non-negotiable, is to use a food processor. So here we have a couple of ingredients that I am going to chop and just really put it in the food processor. First thing is onions. So I have 2 small white onions here. If you do have a medium-sized onion, just use 1. Just peeling the skin off right here. And the second one, you can also use shallots if you want. If you're gonna use shallots, just use 2 pieces of shallots as well. So I'm just dicing it to just like 4 pieces just to kind of help the food processor. Really, that's it. I'm just gonna go ahead and put all of this here. I do have 4 pieces of green onions. I've already washed this. I've seen a couple of recipes that you don't really need to use green onions. I do love to use green onions just because I do want to still see the green specks when I bite my lumpia, but then this is just an optional thing if you don't want it. Okay, so 4 pieces of green onions. I do have 200 grams here of carrots. You can use like the shredded ones. You can use the bigger ones. I'm using baby carrots here. And this is, like I said, 200 grams. I'm just gonna go ahead and put everything here in the food processor. I have a couple of pieces of garlic. So this is 8 pieces of garlic. I really love garlic, so you can put as much or as little as you want. But lately I've realized that there is such thing as too much garlic, especially if you're making pesto. So for this recipe, I'm just gonna use 8 pieces of garlic. And that's it. Let's give it a blitz. See how easy that was? Look, and this is what you'll end up with. So now that we have all of the vegetables blitzed up and really into fine pieces, the next thing that we're gonna do is incorporate it in this bowl with the ground pork. So here's my second tip to make sure that you have a juicy lumpia. The tip is to actually use a ground pork that has some amount of fat in it. This is 80% lean and 20% fat. And honestly, this is perfect for me. Like, this is the best ground pork because it will give you some juice when you bite it. If you're going to use sort of like a 90-10 or even more than that, you really don't want that for your lumpia, you know? Look, I'm just letting you know, don't do that. So let's mix the vegetables in the bowl. To this, we're gonna add 2 eggs. And then we're gonna add some soy sauce, some sugar, just to balance that salty flavor. And then something that is also non-negotiable in my books when it comes to lumpia, and that is Maggie Magic Sarap. If you don't have this, you can just use a couple of tablespoons of MSG. Again, you know, that's something controversial because not a lot of people love to use MSG, but for lumpia, for me, honestly, it's non-negotiable. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. So a couple of tricks. If you also want to use some longganisa in your lumpia Shanghai, you wanna stick to the ones that are already skinless when you buy them, just like this. So this is thawed, so as you can see, it's very, very easy for me to break it apart. And that is the key, making sure that the longganisa is well incorporated, because if you want to use the ones that actually still has the skin and then you cut it in the center, I find that those ones have these large chunks that are actually really, really hard to chew. So I'm just gonna use 6 of this. Before you do the next step, the next thing you're gonna do is wash your hands, because you're gonna use your hands to mix the whole thing together. And trust me, there's no other way around it. All right, and that is your filling. Next tip that I have for you is to actually use a good quality lumpia wrapper. So this is the one that me and my family has been using. It's called TYJ Spring Roll. You don't have to use this if you don't have it accessible, but I highly recommend it. It's not sponsored. It's just really the lumpia wrapper that I love to use. And with this filling that we created, it's just gonna be enough for the whole thing. Trust me, I recipe tested this. I know what I'm saying. The next thing you wanna do is just separate all the lumpia wrapper from each other. That's just how you do it. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video right here, and we'll resume once I separated all of these things from each other. Now that I've had all of my lumpia wrappers separated, I'm going to show you my next tip. But first, before I tell you guys that, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut like this big portion. You don't want it to be small, that big. The reason why we wanna use a piping bag, or you can also use a Ziploc, is because you want to make the lumpia wrappers as uniform as possible. And for me, that is important because I want the lumpia to all be at the same size. I'm going to just scoop a couple of the filling into this piping tube, and this part is gonna be messy, okay? All right, so now that I have it here, you just push it in. Just make a line, just like that, from start to end, just like this. And then fill it all the way up to the end, and then you start folding it, okay? So you see how when you fold it, the diameter is similar. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do it that way. And then what I have here is just flour and water. You can always use an egg wash, but honestly, eggs are very, very expensive here in the US right now. So that's why I felt like, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and use flour instead. You can also use cornstarch, but the thing with cornstarch is, as you can see, this is like a process, and the cornstarch would actually sit at the bottom of the bowl the more it lingers over there. So that's why I would rather use a flour and water mixture. And now that is the first roll. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put that seam side down here into this tray and continue with the rest of the things. So now I have all 25 of my lumpia wrappers filled in with the filling that we made earlier. So at this point, what I want to do is divide it into three. So let me go ahead and grab one and I'll show you what I mean. So with this specific lumpia wrapper, I'm gonna go ahead and divide it into three bite-sized pieces, just like that. So you can use a knife, or you can also still just use a scissor, which is what I'm doing over here. And it doesn't have to be precise. It just needs to be similar in size, about the same. And the reason for this is I like to make my lumpia like this because one, it's bite-sized, and two, because they're all looking like this, it's actually a lot easier to fry them because they're all gonna cook at the same time. So that's another tip for you. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut all 25 of this. By the way, I was able to use all of my filling. If you have extra filling, I don't think you'll really have a lot, but if you do, you can just like use it as a ground pork and cook it in a wok, and now you'll have ground pork. So I'm just gonna go ahead and continue doing all of this, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, now you ended up with 75 pieces of lumpiang Shanghai with longanisa. But as you can see, I have some Ziplocs over here. And the reason is I always want to make sure that I put it in a Ziploc and have it ready for just any occasion, right? If you just want a snack, or if you have friends coming over or family coming over, you want to make sure that you have something to serve. And for me, lumpia is one of them. I have one here in the freezer, and this is just ready to fry whenever I have guests coming over. You want to make sure that you don't put a lot of lumpia in just one Ziploc container. You don't want to put it on top of each other, so I always just want to put one layer just like this, And the reason is you don't want the lumpia to be deformed, but also it's a lot easier to separate it from each other if you don't pack it on top of each other. So that's another tip. All right, so now that I've packed my lumpiang Shanghai into the Ziploc containers, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I fry mine. Okay, so other people, they wanna use a thermometer to kind of just make sure that the foil is hot enough. I use the chopstick method, okay? I just wanna make sure that it is not boiling too much. It just have enough bubbles. And this one is perfect for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop all of my lumpia. You wanna drop it away from you just to make sure that the oil wouldn't splatter over you. Okay, so let's just go ahead and drop all of my lumpia pieces here. And you wanna make sure that you put enough oil that you are deep frying the lumpia. Okay? And then you're just gonna cook all of this until it is golden brown. Okay? So because this is not frozen, I'm gonna go ahead and cook this for about 6 to 8 minutes. Guys, it smells so good. You also wanna make sure that you are cooking this in about medium to medium-low heat because you wanna make sure that you're giving it enough time for the pork inside to cook all the way through so that the lumpia wrapper will also not be too golden brown before the pork inside cooks. Some people, what they want to do is that they want to pre-cook the filling. I really don't want to do that because what happens is that the filling ends up being dry, and who wants that, right? Okay, now it's golden brown. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a plate that is lined with some napkins just to kind of get rid of the excess oil. Okay, now that all of the excess oils are removed from the lumpia and now is transferred to the towel, I'm just gonna go ahead and serve it into this beautiful plate with my favorite dipping sauce for lumpia, which is a sweet and sour sauce. Now my favorite part. Can you guys hear that? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you try this recipe out. And if you like this, consider subscribing and watch all of my other recipes. And you can find them right over here. Okay, until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. So good.